Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching it. Welcome to Otherobert. I'm Rob, and that is
Oh, also good dusk, good dawn. We want to include all the the weather. No, not the weather. What would that be? The day cycle.
times of days.
Yeah, we want to include the entire day cycle here.
Yeah, of the
Boys,
sun.
girls, all of my Drombologs out there. Welcome back to Otherobert. I'm Joe.
I already said who I am, and this video, as you can tell from the title, is a review of Marvel Netflix's Jessica Jones. The series debuted November 20th. Today's December 2nd, so it's been out for almost 2 weeks. We didn't do it right away when it came out because we were busy, but we're here to do it today to discuss the show. And next to Daredevil, Marvel just keeps banging out good shows that are awesome.
Yeah, so this was the second series in the lineup of shows that Marvel has done for Netflix. And Daredevil had a really strong start, and this, I actually think, surpassed it. I think this was better than Daredevil. If anyone's on the fence, I would definitely say go with Jessica Jones. I thought this was better than Daredevil. And Daredevil's really good, so I'm not dissing Daredevil.
I mean, we'll talk. We'll try to dissect the whole series as we go through it. But I love the ending of this show a lot more than I love the ending to Daredevil. Just to foreshadow, my opinion. So. The show deals with Kristen Ritter, who's playing Jessica Jones. She's a private eye with superpowers. She can jump high, and she's super strong. And she deals with this attorney named Jerry, and she also is dealing with Luke Cage, and she's also dealing with the Purple Man. And she's also she has a best friend named Trish. And then she's also trying to protect Hope as well. So she has a lot going on in her in her own personal life in the show because of just the elements of the supernatural and of regular life.
Yeah, and she, let's just say, Kristen Ritter takes it away with Jessica Jones. She completely falls into the character, which is good because going into this, because I've seen Breaking Bad so many times, I was saying to myself, I want to see her as Jessica Jones, not as Jane from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And right away, I didn't worry about it.
Jane on Breaking Bad so much, which I just last year. And Kristen Ritter, she that didn't typecast her, thankfully. So she was able to go right into the superhero gimmick and be fantastic in what she was doing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it at all. I thought I was going to, but she completely she was really good as Jessica Jones. I saw her completely as Jessica Jones from the first episode. She was very good.
Yeah, I believed her the whole time, or I believed the whole time. One thing just to throw out there, the writing of all these Marvel Netflix shows is so amazing that like you need to watch, and you're so in tune to what's going on. Like if you're like texting or something and you miss like a crucial line, you're kind of going like, crap, like you got to rewind it.
Absolutely.
It's writing, it's really good. And the beauty of Netflix is, the binge watching part of it. And the episodes just sequence perfectly into each other, very much like a movie would, which is great. Very long movie, but a movie nonetheless.
I found we keep comparing to Daredevil. I want to stop doing that, but I want to get in one more reference. With Daredevil, because this was the start of this series for Marvel when it comes to Netflix, it was interesting. But for this, I found myself, as you said, really paying attention to everything. I was really hinging on everything they said. I was really... Even the slower scenes were still so intriguing. And that's something they do right from the start. It's an intriguing show. It's very interesting. It's different. It's got this kind of new age noir, which makes no sense. But if you watch it, you get it. It's kind of this, I guess, acid. And it looks like a comic book, kind of. It's very hard to describe the look, the tone, the aura that is Marvel's Jessica Jones.
And speaking of the word or phrase comic books, Joe and I are not comic book readers, so we're just going to watch. Yeah, me too. We are not. We can't compare it to a source material because we don't know it. So this is just totally off of the TV show.
TV series. Yes.
Just note that
she did great though. She did absolutely great. The acting, I think, was I think it was just so good in this that this really, you take a show like this, I think it kind of blows away people's expectations for if someone wishes to hear a superhero show. This isn't just a superhero show. This is,
The show dealt with so many different elements, like
yeah,
PTSD, rapes, sexuality.
a lot of
There's so much. I know. There's so much that went down with it. And the actors they cast to play those characters in those situations were great.
Everyone was casted perfectly. The villain, Kilgrave, was one of, if not the most, for me, interesting villain in Marvel yet. I think for me, he is.
Personally, I like villains who kind of plan in the background and then they come out. And
which is, yeah,
exactly what Kilgrave did, which is why I liked him so much. I'm forgetting the name of the villain from Daredevil.
He's there with Loki for me. Like, yes, they're the top.
Because Loki was a schemer, and and Kilgrave is a schemer too, and I liked it. Oh my god, I'm blanking on
Wilson Fisk.
Wilson Fisk. I mean, he was kind of a schemer too, but then he really got out into it.
Yeah, he was a powerhouse when he needed to be.
Yeah, so it's a contrast, but I liked Kilgrave better. The actor is phenomenal in his
David Tennant. Oh my god, David Tennant. I was looking forward. I thought he was gonna have a smaller role. I was so happy to see that he was the villain for the season. They didn't really give you villains of the week or anything like that. He was the villain. There was a sub villain in Nuke, but he was the main villain.
Well, the beauty of Marvel Netflix is they treat it sort of like a movie, like I said. So you kind of get like that one overarching villain.
It makes for great storytelling.
Yeah, I don't mind the story of the week if it's, for example, in a longer TV show. But it's so short and condensed. Like, you can't have a random villain because it takes away from the main one. And the main one here, the Purple Man, excuse me, was stellar. Just his relationship with Jessica Jones was great, and she has really interesting connections to every character that you meet. Just how, like, they dive into her past, and then they dive into her friend's past. It's not all over the place, but there's a lot of information to take in.
That's a good point. Yeah, her kind of interactions with people, the relationships that she has, all very different and all very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely a good point.
I would say probably my favorite relationship that she had would be with her best friend Trish on the show, but then her relationship with the Purple Man, who I like calling him the Purple Man because, like, I like the villain title. I know his name.
You like the gimmick, I was gonna say Kilgrave though, like, as well. Like, I thought their chemistry, their on-screen chemistry was incredible.
Great. Yeah, it's interesting because we were saying before we started that Kilgrave, you really feel that he loved her because he didn't bother to control her, and I haven't felt the very opposite of that. So we are in two different camps with that particular viewpoint.
Oh, we're in spoilers, by the way, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Spoilers. This whole thing's a spoiler.
He loves her. Spoilers.
Excuse me. Okay. Well, for all of you who have watched any of our longer live reviews, there's generally spoilers of episodes and whatnot. And also, the show's been up for 2 weeks, so
good point.
He has an intensive relationship with her, and that is where I'll end that.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to talk more about the ending at the end. But to me, he left his mark on this character so much in the way that really, there's one scene in particular that, for me, I think of much like the Joker hospital scene from The Dark Knight. That's kind of transcended superhero movies. That's a scene that to this day is still remembered by a lot of people, and that's still such a big scene to so many people. And I think the scene with the police station with Kilgrave was equally as effective as that scene. It's not going to be the same audience as saw Dark Knight. Dark Knight was wildly successful, but in terms of the effect of the scene and the lasting effect, I think this was equally as good, equally as powerful.
I would say learning about his past and how he was a very sick child, and his parents tried to save him, and he ended up with the powers because of his parents' experiments. But because children think differently than adults, but he kept his childhood thoughts throughout his whole life, thinking his parents were the bad guys, despite the fact his parents very much cared for him, and like that like led into him being who he was, and how he kind of became crazy in the sort of in the long run, just because he had this like childhood grudge against his parents. And like I guess so many issues can spend or be connected back to your childhood, but like here it totally makes sense because his parents, in an attempt to save him, created a monster.
That's what these shows, that's what they do differently. I mean, we really some shows you'll see a softer side to a villain. Maybe you'll see their purpose or something like that. I'm not denying that, but with Jessica Jones and what we have with Daredevil, we really get these in-depth, just these looks at the villains, and we see who they really are, and we saw his what put him to that point, and we saw his thinking behind everything, his motivations, and that is just so different than everything that's going on right now, and it's so refreshing. And it's, I think, a better way to tell a story is when you get more connected to that villain.
I think what Marvel does well is villains are evil, which is great. They keep their villains evil, but they also kind of draw them to be a little bit sympathetic.
Right, absolutely.
But not sympathetic like that it flips it. And like
it doesn't make them look weak.
Yeah, it just or good, but I don't want to say good is weak, but it just you have a little bit of sympathy because you get them.
Well, yeah, it doesn't take away their evil or their kind of menace.
So that's what I was going to say too.
Composure, but I think it actually amplifies it. I think it makes it worse because you see them at their low, I guess, and then you see them. You see the range there, and you see that these really are just truly evil. That there's layers to these. They're not these one-dimensional. That's what it is. They're multi-layered. They're not one-dimensional, and that's great. And when you get these 13 episodes to really delve into that, and they introduced Purple Man in the second episode. Yeah, I mean, there were kind of teases of him in the first, but you see him at the end of the second.
Yeah.
He was there pretty much the entire time, which was fantastic.
And they also, like I said, they explain his powers, which is nice too. They sort of try to explain Jessica's. It's kind of like a foreshadow thing, but they definitely, you figure out like why he gets his powers too, and how it acts is interesting because it's like a virus that he gives off when he talks. It's very which I thought was creative.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely interesting.
There was I know we were talking about the writing. One thing I definitely wanted to say is, it's amazing, like I've been saying many times. One thing I love what television shows do is when they reference real life things. And for example, Jessica Jones had a Grey's Anatomy reference, because there's a scene when she's pretending to be a nurse, and she says that she's a nurse from the hospital at Grey's County or something, whatever the hospital is in Grey's Anatomy. And that made me laugh so hard. Because somehow Grey's Anatomy exists in the cinematic Netflix universe, and I just think that's hysterical. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Moments like that, it adds something. It adds a charm to it, which, especially with Jessica Jones, was such a dark show. It's good to kind of have that charm to kind of lighten things up.
Well, yeah. Well, it was very dark. Is from the first episode on. We haven't talked about her. One of our main-ish characters was Hope, who was this Trek star, and she killed her parents on Kilgrave's orders, and Jessica had this connection to her, knowing who Kilgrave is and why he does things, sort of with the lie, and she kind of acted as a big sister guardian to protect Hope, and then everything she did was to save her, and then when that didn't work, the last 3 or 4 episodes were amazing just from that regard, because she lost the one battle she was trying to win for most of the season.
Right. And again, that's why Jessica Jones, I kind of depict her as an anti-hero
Yeah.
as more than a hero, because you see she's dealing with that and the effect it has on her. The effect that a lot of these things have on her. She doesn't always look for the most heroic way to get out of things, which is interesting because she still does have good intentions.
Her and Trish actually have conversations like that in the show.
And that's where it really gets interesting, because when you're able to have, like you're saying with the dialogue and the writing, when you're able to really get deep into some of these motivations and really, Malcolm had this whole kind of speech in the finale. I thought was amazing, and they go deep with it, and they really just they ask these kind of ambiguous questions, and it's really thought inducing, and it's to get that from a show. They're doing their job extremely well.
Oh, totally. Yeah, everything was. If I could work on a TV show, I would like to work on this one because it was just great. That finale, it ended in such a great way. Spoiler, big spoiler right now. If you don't want to hear what happens to Gilgrave, click the back button. He dies. And normally they don't kill villains. Very brutally. I think his neck gets snapped.
The Zod way. That's what happened to Zod. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, he's like cracked.
Yeah.
And normally villains in Marvel don't die. Unless they're not real. You know what I mean? Like they're not like biological. And he died, and it just had like this great ending because like the show seemed very much over, but there's a little bit that could be a second season, but like it wrapped up after his death so perfectly that you feel very satisfied with the show. Like I walked away from that thinking like a second season would be very cool, but I'm okay with this. I thought this was perfect.
Well, they build it to the viewer wanting to see this guy die, which is twisted and dark, but he's a bad guy, and really just
he tortured
what he does. Yeah, and what he does, and really his power, that's really hard to not only to stop, but to stop that for good. That's really hard. So you kind of were expecting something like that to happen, but at the same time you're thinking, you know, she's a hero. You know, maybe the heroes don't kill, and that's where the anti-hero part comes into it.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is Jessica ended up being immune to his powers, but Luke Cage, who we really talked about, who had this interesting dynamic relationship with Jessica, was susceptible to his powers, and Luke Cage is super strong, and Jessica's not as strong as him, and his powers affect anyone. So like if they were able to like bring the Purple Man, like, and he could have in like the movies to some level, not to bring it back to life, but if he was in the older ones, like, and he control Thor or the Hulk or something, like it's crazy. Like his no one's immune to him.
Yeah, his whole portrayal, that character was just one of the best things I think Marvel has done, and it's a shame that his character is dead. David Tennant is he's
really good.
It's such a gem. Like he's really a treat to watch when he really gets into a character.
For those of you who are fans of Harry Potter, he was in Harry Potter, the fourth movie. He played Mad-Eye Moody for most of it, I believe, or the person impersonating him. So he was in that movie.
He also did, I believe, a BBC version of Hamlet. He did Hamlet, and it's fantastic. He's a fantastic actor when he's given the opportunity.
Barty Crouch. Sorry, I just remembered it. He played Barty Crouch in Harry Potter.
He's never, I don't think, done anything bad, but in this, he really just took it away. He was my favorite part of the show, like by far.
I would say for it, like, was him and Jessica, like, were all the characters I always wanted to see. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Chemistry, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think we covered the show?
I think we could go on with this show forever. I mean, there's things we didn't talk about, but you know, there's just too much with this show. This show's fantastic, pretty much. That's the bottom line here.
Yeah, I mean, will it get a second season? Will it not? My money's on yes, but for now, you watch the 13 episodes, you'll be very satisfied with it.
Yeah, we need to see the other shows first. I want to see the other shows. I'm about to get everyone disliking the video here, but I don't even want to get Daredevil season 2 right now. I just want to get all the shows first.
Luke Cage and the Defenders.
Yeah, Yeah, Luke Cage and Iron Fist too. Like I want to see the rest of these shows before we start getting second season.
They're coming.
Which is happening. We're getting Daredevil too, but
unfortunately, you don't run Netflix.
Yeah,
he would like to.
We'll see. We'll see how these shows go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who watches this in the evening, in the afternoon, in the morning, dusk or dawn, as Joe also wanted to point out. So everything gets included.
Complete day cycle.
Thank you so much for checking out the review. If you are fans of Marvel, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, or Netflix, share your thoughts about the show in the comments below, and we will make sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.